So let me ask you something. What happens when a person gets absolutely everything they've ever wanted, only to find out it means nothing? That's the story we're going to dive into today. It's about a man who reached the very, very top of the corporate world, only to have his entire life shattered, forcing him to question what success even means in the first place. And this is our guy, Rishi Kumar. For him, this quote, it's not just some slogan, it's his entire philosophy on life. Now that's a powerful way to think, right? Total self-reliance. But it's also, incredibly isolating. It paints a picture of a world where other people aren't your partners. They're just pawns or maybe obstacles on your personal climb to the top. And climb he did. Look, Rishi's rise to power wasn't just fast, it was legendary. It was all fueled by this relentless, almost brutal ambition that saw people and even principles as just collateral damage on his path to greatness. Just think about that for a second. 29 years old. At an age when most of us are just, figuring things out, Rishi was running one of the most powerful companies on earth. He wasn't just another success story. He was a phenomenon, a guy who completely rewrote the playbook for the corporate game. And the rewards that came with that? Well, they were just staggering. We're talking 950 crore rupees a year. That's over $125 million. And that's before you even count the company shares. For Rishi, this wasn't just about the money. It was the scoreboard. It was definitive proof that he'd conquered the poverty that haunted him his whole life. But as he was about to learn, a scoreboard doesn't always tell you who's really winning. When someone asked him to define success, this was his answer. So what's he really saying here? He believed that success wasn't some standard you had to meet. No, he believed he was the standard. He wasn't playing by the world's rules, he was making up his own. And the rest of the world just had to keep up. And you can see just how deep-rooted this ruthless mindset was. Way back in college, he was already challenging his dean's, more traditional wisdom. While the dean was saying, hey, failure is a great teacher, Rishi was basically arguing no one remembers who came in second. For him, there were no do-overs, no learning from mistakes. It was just a flat-out sprint to the finish line. But a sprint like that, well, it comes with a massive cost. His laser focus left a trail of broken relationships in his wake, wreckage that he saw as just necessary sacrifices for the only goal that mattered, his own success. Wow, this quote really gets to the core of Rishi's biggest fear. He looked at his own father, a humble clerk, and all he saw was failure. And that fear of becoming his dad wasn't just some motivation, it was like a poison. It fueled his ambition, sure, but it also built this huge wall between them. And the casualties just kept piling up, and they were the people who should have meant the most. His girlfriend, Pooja, he didn't see her as a partner. He saw her as a burden, holding him back. His best friend, Ravi, he used the guy's genius but was totally blind to the fact that he was struggling. And his own father, well, we know how that went. He was just a symbol of everything Rishi was running from. And then it finally happened. The moment he had spent his entire life working for, he launches this world-changing product, cementing his legacy forever. But in that very same moment of triumph, his whole world comes crashing down. Can you imagine the absolute height of professional victory immediately followed by the most profound personal tragedy? This is that collision course, right? Where the life he built slams right into the life he left behind, and everything just starts to unravel. In a letter left behind, his father reveals an absolutely shocking truth. The man Rishi had always seen as a total failure was actually a civil services topper, a brilliant man who gave up a huge career to become an activist for farmers' rights. He had chosen a totally different definition of success, one Rishi had been completely blind to his entire life. But the gut punches just keep coming. Rishi finds out the truth about a defining moment in college. He was about to be expelled, his career over before it even began. And it turns out his best friend Ravi took the fall for him, sacrificed his entire future, his family's honor, even his own father's life, all to protect Rishi's dream, a sacrifice Rishi never, ever knew had been made. Completely shattered by all of this, Rishi just walks away from it all. He travels to Ramavaram, Ravi's village. He's not there as a CEO. He's just a man looking for the friend he betrayed, and maybe a purpose he never knew he was missing. And what he finds there is Ravi. Not broken, but still fighting. He's the last man standing, trying to save his village from a corrupt corporation that wants their land. And in Ravi's quiet, determined struggle, Rishi suddenly finds a new fight of his own. So Rishi starts playing a new game, but he's using all his old skills. First, in a move that just stuns the business world, he relocates his entire company, the whole shebang, to this tiny little village. He uses his power to call in the media, he unites the local people, and he goes head-to-head with the corrupt CEO trying to ruin his friend's home. He's basically turning his corporate genius into a weapon for justice. And what he digs up is a massive fraud. The pipeline project, the whole reason the villagers were being forced out, was claimed to cost 75,000 crore rupees. The actual cost, just 500 crore. The rest was pure greed, a scam to cheat the government and kick thousands of people off their land. And that was the leverage he needed. Okay, so armed with the truth and this newfound purpose, Rishi is ready to make his final move. But he doesn't just want to win this one battle. He wants to change the definition of winning for everybody. The place he chooses to do this says everything. It's not some fancy boardroom, it's a dusty field. It's totally symbolic. He's taking off the suit, dropping the title, and shedding the ego to reconnect with the very roots he spent his whole life trying to forget. This is where he makes his stand. And standing in that field, he delivers this powerful new mission statement. He challenges everyone listening to think, what really keeps this country going? It's not just corporate profits, he says. It's the farmer's grain. He argues that when a farmer fails, the whole nation loses. And that their fight for dignity, well, that's a fight for all of us. It's a wake-up call to remember the human connection that all this blind ambition made us forget. But here's the thing. These aren't just words. He literally puts his money where his mouth is. All of it. He donates 90% of his personal fortune, we're talking billions of dollars, to a farmer welfare fund. This isn't just a donation, it's a total rejection of his old life. And this one act creates a massive ripple effect. Suddenly, people are adopting villages. Big companies start changing their policies. He proves that one person's new definition of success can spark a huge collective movement. And in the end, Rishi finally finds what he was looking for all along. It wasn't in the power, it wasn't in the money. It was in connecting with people, in having a purpose, and in finally understanding his father's true legacy. The guy who once said success was being the definition finally found success by embracing someone else's. So, Rishi's journey leaves all of us with a really important question. In a world that is always pushing us to climb higher, go faster, are we even sure we're in the right race? And what, for you, is the true definition of winning?